Okay, hi everyone. Hi. Let me just put me on gallery view. No, sorry. Okay, welcome to Conscious Parenting, Conscious Kids, an introduction to this amazing body of work for parenting. It's an Access Consciousness specialty class, and I'm Dr. Glenna Rice. And we are here for Mother's Day in the US. Mother's Day is this Sunday, and I know it's coming up in Mexico too, but next
On May 10th.
May 10th, yeah. And there's probably other places around the world, but this is a gift for parents, not just mothers. Dads are totally welcome to listen in and ask questions. And I've been teaching parenting, access consciousness parenting classes for a while now. My kids are all now adults. My youngest just turned 18 this year. So I don't have little kids anymore, but I started Access. I found my first Access consciousness class when my youngest was a 2-year-old. So she was raised with these tools, and my other two were also. So I've kind of been through the whole range of ages and things from 2 years old all the way up to 27, and that's how old my oldest is now. So I've had lots of experience, I guess you could say, of using these tools, raising kids. I've taught the class for over 15, probably about 15 years, all over the world, been asked a million questions. And before that, I did pediatric physical therapy. So I worked with kids and families for quite a few years, even before I found the amazing tools of Access. So just because some of you guys may that listen to this in the future or that are getting this recording may have really no idea what Access consciousness is, it's really, it's tools to change things that aren't working for you into things that will work for you, and getting the awareness of what actually does work for you. How would you like to have your relationship, your creations, your future be? How would you like to have parenting be so it works for you and for your kids and create a family that's greater than you can imagine? And Access is about accessing the consciousness. It's the name. You access your awareness, your consciousness. Consciousness is the awareness of everything without judgment. And it's judgment that sticks us. It's judgment that messes up what we actually are choosing to create or want to create, or what's not working for us. It's often what we're judging. So a lot of this work is about getting out of judgment. And I'm going to be doing probably, most likely with who I'm seeing on the call now, clearing statements to help you get rid of the energy. I am not going to go through what the clearing statement means. You'll have an awareness. We'll ask a question. Something might change. Something you might feel some different energy. I'll ask if you want to uncreate and destroy or change that stuff. And then I'll do a clearing statement. It goes right and wrong, good and bad, and pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, POVIDs, and beyonds. And it's gonna like it's a cosmic vacuum cleaner that gets rid of a lot of the judgments, the things you're holding on to. um, my audience is nodding. The things you're holding on to that limit you. And it's your choice. You can choose to change it or not change it. And with parenting, I have to say some of the things we have points of views about are pretty well, do I want to say entrenched? They're pretty stuck in our reality. You know, some of them are a little harder to change than others with parenting because we have lifetimes after lifetimes in this lifetime and our parents and our kids' points of views that are all impacting how we are seeing how we parent. And it's your point of view that creates your reality. And your point of view about anything will stick you because you can't see anything that doesn't match your point of view. So if something that could change everything was outside of what your point of view is, you couldn't see what that is. So one of the things that we will be doing in the next hour or so is helping you to start seeing other possibilities for other points of views that may create something different, and getting rid of your stuck points of views. Not getting rid of your points of views, just the ones that are really stuck and entrenched. So you can ask for possibilities are greater you can imagine with parenting. So I know there's already a question, which makes me excited, but I'm going to ask one first for all you guys and all the people in the future that are going to be listening to this. If you can get anything out of this class, what would it be? I mean, what brought you here? What brought you to download the Zoom or to come on this live? What is it that you're asking to change? If you can get anything out of the class, what would it be? And someone posted they have a question.
I do.
Hi,
Hang
Aubrey.
on. Hey, how are you? Hi, guys.
Hi.
Um, so my question is, obviously, I've been doing Access probably about 5, 6 years, and the whole point of Access is getting out a point of view, being you, and I feel like I'm being me as a parent, and one one of the situations is that I feel like obviously I found my voice, I found who I am, but I feel like I'm getting punished for it. Like we had a it's like I was stepping into who I am as a parent and as a single mom. But
Hmm.
then like we had a court case, custody case, obviously didn't go well. I mean, it's like I did truth and all the points of views and everything. It just went not so good. But I'm looking at it from a different point of view. Like it's like what I don't even know how to like wrap my brain around it because what happened was so drastic, like a week ago.
Okay, so what is your question?
The question is like what would it take for me to be me and to be who I am as a parent or to honor myself without getting punished for it?
Getting punished. Okay. Whew.
Yeah.
Well, we will start this call out with a really light topic. That's awesome.
Sorry.
No, and thank you for
Sorry.
the question. It is so on topic right now for what's going on in the United States. There's many of you on in the United States. They're about to punish women for being mothers all over this country. I mean, there's a really big thing happening with being able to end pregnancies by choice, the choice to be a parent, to not be a parent, and to punish you if you don't choose the right way. So I'm going to start on just declaring, so everything you've decided you've ever done as a parent or as a mother in any lifetime that requires punishment, it requires you to be punished, and everything you bought from every church, cult, and religion and government on this planet in any lifetime that you aligned and agreed with or resisted and reacted to, allow any and all of that to exist. Everything that is, you want to destroy and uncreate it all.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, online shorts, COVIDs, and beyonds. So do you have a point of view that if you don't get parenting right, you should be punished? I know it's a crazy question. The little young,
I guess yes.
there was a young boy who said yes in the back room. So I was like, huh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you are not the only one on this call. How many times have parents, mothers especially, um, yeah, how many times have mothers been punished for not doing it right? And fathers. And fathers. And fathers for not doing it right. And what's right? So I'm just gonna, like, everything you decided it was to be a right parent, to do mothering correctly. It doesn't allow you to see how you can create way beyond this reality and have it work for you. We just run and create all of that. Yes. Comes a Godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, online shorts, COVIDs, boys and beyonds. So if you have a point of view that if you don't do it right, you're going to be punished, what is that going to create in your universe? I hear death from
Jail. Like they wanted to put me in jail for protecting my kids of their dad who's abusive. So because they said I alienated them, I couldn't force a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old into a car. They wouldn't put me in jail.
they being
The judge and my ex-husband and his lawyer.
okay. So do you have a good lawyer?
I thought I did.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something about court cases, and
Yeah.
because you may not be the only mother on this. I am a single mother. I was married for years, and my 3 kids. Dad was not fabulous after we separated, and he moved out, and I was protecting him when we first started the custody separation lawyer stuff, and it was Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, that really got me to see something which I did not want to see. So we meet these men. We're married to them, possibly. I'm not sure if you were, but you're in a relationship. You had children with them anyway, and there's a lot of history of you're with the father of your children. And you have lots of points of views about what that should look like. And if you're the mother and you have kids and you're the father, and they're, you know, you're supposed to be caring for the whole family, including him, taking care of, caring for. And I had this point of view. So my ex-husband, who was in the middle of the divorce, was trying to destroy me. He'd done a few really horrible things to, wouldn't allow me to take my kids to the workshop out of the country. Gary Douglas, I was in a class, I had asked him a question about it, and he said, you do get he's willing to destroy you. And I was like, oh my God, no? How could, like, we were together we had 3 children, like, no, I'm not. And he goes, are you willing to destroy him? And it was a big no for me. And then he asked the entire class, do you guys get that he's willing to, he wants to destroy Glenn and her kids? And everyone goes, yeah. And it like hit me. And then he goes, are you willing to destroy him? And I was like, I have to be willing to do that. I didn't have to do it. I had to be willing to be the energy that no matter what it takes, this is going to work for me and my kids. This is going to work for me and my kids, no matter what it fucking takes. Sorry, kids, I'm swearing already. I saw some app today. So the chances that I'll say fuck today are like 90%, and 10% I will say fuck too. So it's going to be about, I do have like an intensity of language at times. So I apologize for anyone who's like, don't let the kids hear. They'll be okay. They've heard it before. So yeah, that energy of being willing to have it work for you and your kids can require the willingness and the energy of like the mama bear, who will destroy anything and everything that would get in the way or would be a harm or a destruction for her children or for her. So everywhere you're unwilling to be the energy, this energy of I will destroy you if you do that, do you destroy and uncreate all of that? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, online charts, boys, puppets, and beyonds.
So how do we be that energy?
So how do we be that energy? Adam was just asking that. She's not on mic. So you...
Is it imposing that or impelling that?
Is it imposing it or is it impelling it? It's not a doing. It may require an action step. Maybe. Most of the time it never does.
Mm-hmm.
It's this energy that you're willing to be, and because you're willing to be it, no one will mess with you. The bullies never pick on the kid that will beat them up.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid that would beat the bullies up. So this is a great one for kids. If you got bullies around, because every school has a bully, many times more than one. If you're someone who's willing to intimidate the bully will not mess with you. Because they will see you as the mother or the kid as someone that, oh my God, if I mess with them, they have an energy that will destroy me. And they don't want to be destroyed. So Aubrey, are you willing to be that energy?
Yes.
Yeah. And it doesn't require a fight. You aren't fighting against anybody or anything, including the court system. You cannot fight against these court systems. You are fighting for you, and you are not willing to give in. You'll never give up, you'll never give in, and you'll never quit. And you're fighting for you and your family, but you're not fighting against. So you have to be able to be willing to manipulate and dominate the energies of the situation so they work for you. Now, what does that mean? You are not fighting. Fighting women going into court look hysterical and crazy. And angry women going into court, men too. Men don't do any better with this. Anyone going into court looking like that isn't going to do well. You are manipulating and dominating the energies of the situation. Now, how are ways you can do that? I'm going to give you some really great tools. One you mentioned already for anybody who's out there. This is my lawyer Zoom video for Mother's Day. So you want to say truth in your head. So anything their lawyer says or they say that's a lie, everyone will know it's a lie, including the judge, or they will say what's true. Now that worked for me. And my friend here also had it happen with her. It worked for her. She had a tough custody case, or child support cases.
No,
She was
name change.
her name changed. Well, I'll have to hear her details later. And you also want to ask the court systems to work for you. If you're fighting against them, they can't work for you.
Fight against the court?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You want to ask, what would it take for the court, the entire US legal system or whatever country you're in, to work for you greater than you could ever possibly imagine? Greater than you could imagine. So when you get that case, it's the judge that will see your point of view. When you're in court, if you're speaking, which your lawyer probably shouldn't have you speaking most of the time, you want to say exactly what they can hear and only what they can hear, so it will work for you. Asking what would it take for this to work for me and my kids will help. Now, I'm going to ask you one other question. Did any of this work for you that you have not acknowledged?
No, well,
Just
the
ask,
only thing that,
let's ask a yes or no energetic question instead of, because obviously the story and what happened and what you're talking about did not work for you. But is there anything that occurred that did work for you you haven't acknowledged?
yes,
Okay, cool. Cool. So what would it take to have more clarity with that? What that is, if you're not clear on what it is at this point?
Yeah.
Sometimes kids are sent to dads, so the kids get that this doesn't work, and they can be the energy that changes it. I don't know if that's your case. I don't know if they're with their dad or with you right now.
they're with me right now, but I got like their dad's supposed to have them for the month, and then I get them every other weekend. And then when school's out, I get them. I get them 1 week, he gets them 1 week.
Okay.
But it's actually the lies are being exposed, so I'm trying to look at it from a different point of view.
Yeah.
Because he did lie. Like the car is breaking down, he'll probably lose his house. The cops already showed up. My daughter caused a scene at school. Like, I think
Okay.
it's all starting to unravel, like the IRS.
So that's all going to unravel with him, and let it unravel.
Mhm.
How does it get any better than that? But everywhere you are programmed and conditioned to fight the men in our lives, to fight the systems in the country, to fight, would you be willing to uncreate and destroy that?
Yes.
Cool. And let me just say, because when you're fighting everything, then you're also fighting yourself.
Yeah.
Which might require punishment. If you have the point of view you should be punished, you will start creating things that seem like punishment. So all of that can we destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
That's it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, online shorts, boys, COVIDs, and beyonds. It's a new thing we added to that statement I've been saying for years. Whew, that's got some energy on it. That's a pretty intense question. And I'm going to say right now that if there is more with this question, this might be something that actually needs to be a private session or something like that. Yeah. But there's some energy that feels lighter from what I'm seeing of what's going on. And be willing to allow the consciousness of the entire universe, the consciousness of everything, to contribute to you and what works for you and your kids. And what works for your kids may look so weird. It may look so weird. They may, going to their dad's house and seeing the mess it is or seeing what's true may actually contribute to you and them in a way you can't imagine. There's been so many mothers that have been in situations that are pretty intense with exes, that the kids were the ones that changed it when they went and hung out with it. I can just give you a silly story. It's not as intense in this. It's a one-day thing. It's not as, it wasn't a court case and there were no judges involved. But my son at 15 had been quite intense. We had been arguing. He was saying he was sick, and I was trying to do some access facilitation. He didn't want anything to do with it. I wasn't quite aware at this point that 15-year-old kids often do not want to listen to a thing their parents say. We ended up getting in a terrible argument. And I said, that's fine, you're going to your dad's. Now, their dad never had them overnight. He saw them on Sunday for a couple hours for dinner. And you're out of here. But basically, like, you're out of my house, I'm not going to deal with this. And for the first time ever, his dad said, okay, came and picked him up. So my son, for the first time in, like, I think the divorce had been about 3 or 4 years at that point. Dad came, picked him up, took him to the house. And I got a call the next day, and Mom, can I please come home? Dad has made me work in the garden all day and I don't feel well. I was like, it was perfect. Letting him go to his father's house, not fighting that, and not trying to be the good parent, making him the bad parent, just being, this is what is showing up now that's going to contribute, changed my son's points of view, and that fighting and that arguing never happened in the family again. I had to have a conversation with him that, yeah, you can come back home, but you got to get, this is my business, and you can't insult my business. You don't have to have anything to do with it, but you're not going to be able to stay in my house and insult my business. And it changed. And it was going to his father's house that changed it, because he got to see what a different parent I was. So your children will often see as time goes by. I've seen it probably almost 100% of the time with parents that have had conflicts like this. The children at some point as they got older were able to see see the difference between the parents that were choosing to create more and choosing to create a family that worked for them and being willing to be in the question, even if they're crazy and crazy stuff happens, right? Versus the parents that weren't choosing. And sometimes those parents can be a contribution. So I don't want to start this thing out, which is, I loved your question. It was really actually really valuable to start this out as, bash the exes. Because I've also asked with my ex, and it's been 15 years now that we've been separated, divorced, what contribution can I be and receive from him that's greater than I can imagine throughout the years, no matter how awful he was, how matter he mean it seemed to me that he was to the kids or the kids' stories that came home. I always asked for a contribution, whatever that looked like. The contribution could be he's going away, or the contribution he gets nicer to them, or the contribution could be, which did happen, that he ended up remarrying a woman that was actually quite contributory to my daughters. What was that? Someone come?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So there's the thing with exes is anything's possible.
And it never shows up the way you think.
And it never shows up the way you think it is. And our fixed points of views about what it should like, and our fixed points of views about what the outcome should be, will limit the possibilities we have available to see all the possibilities of how it could show up. When you don't have a point of view that's fixed about something, you can start to get information in strange, weird ways and go, oh, that. Oh, and that. Okay. Do we have another question? Does someone else have a question?
Yep, I think this is Karen. I raised my hand. Is that okay?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't even see. Yeah. Okay. It's up in the little teeny hand up in the corner.
So my children are adults, and they sort of have disconnected from us because we are on, opposite points of view on a lot of issues. So as a mother, I have emotional, loss with that. So I was wondering, I'm not trying to make them come back because I know they're adults and we did our jobs. They're, into their lives, but I'm missing that connection with them. So is there anything I can do to make it easier on myself?
So what are you holding on to? I can see you better.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm talking to my
Yep.
audience.
No, I understand. I'm just processing. What am I holding on to?
Yeah.
I have a hard time letting people go. That's my pattern.
Okay.
Because I love people very much.
And does loving people require you to hold on to them?
No, absolutely not.
yes, it does.
I know. But you kind of just said it. That's why I'm looking at how I can. You said I have a hard time letting go of people. I love them very much.
Yes.
So if you didn't love them, you could let go of them?
No, probably not. You're correct.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't matter if you're not letting go of them because those are my kids and I'm not letting go of them.
Those are my people.
Yeah. That's not a weird point of view. I'm sure you're not the only one that has those points of view. Those are my people and I'm not let going. So I birthed them. I'd raised them with my bare hands.
Even in my knees.
Yes, I grew them in my belly. All right. So everything you're willing to let go of, you can have. If if you're not holding on to it, see, holding on to it isn't having it, it's holding on to it. But if you could have a relationship with your kids, it doesn't look like what you expect it to. When
Wow.
Is she unclear in your relationship with him?
Okay, that's a
like when you're really needy, if you
Mhm.
like, if anyone's really needy with you, like if you've ever been in a relationship or your kids were needy, your kids were needy, like 2 and 4 and 6 and stuff, they were needy and 7. You wanted to run away at times.
yes.
Let me shut the bathroom door and you don't come in.
Mhm. Yes.
Give me a minute. And you often didn't. I know I often didn't. I didn't just get in my car and drive away. I was a mom. I had to be there. That was my point of view. I was responsible. But when someone's needy, like if you're needy for your adult children or your teenagers, my gosh, when this happens with teenagers all the time, they start to pull away and become their teenage self, or you are not valuable to them the way you were when they were 7, and you will get needy, and that will create all of this tension with a lot of teenagers because they're like, back off, mom. So that neediness will almost always make someone back away from you.
Hmm.
You can feel a needy person from a mile away. Energetic, it's an energetic thing. They may not look needy or sound needy, but energetically, if someone is needing you, your first thing is like, to pull away. Hold on, there's a question. Do you have a question?
Yes, how to flip that 180 degrees so that neediness is an invitation?
Okay, she asked, how can you flip the neediness 180 degrees so it's an invitation? No. Stop being needy. You
Just
want
stop.
and I know that's kind of like, stop it. No, what you want to do is be needless of your children. Be needless of your children. Like you don't require them. You are a whole person with or without your children. You had many, many years on the planet before they showed up. And you'll have many, many years as an adult after they've grown. You are a complete and total person. So everywhere you feel like you need to be with them instead of be.
There's a needy one right now.
Yeah. He's like, could you destroy and uncreate all of that?
Yeah.
Times a Godzilla. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyond. So, hey Jeremiah, I'm having a hard time. Though your laughter is delightful. There's more to say with this. So here's a question I give to all the parenting classes, and this works for all ages up until, well, I still do it with my 27-year-old, so from birth beyond. What do your children require? No, I'm going to start this one. Do your children require anything from you? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. And you want to ask this, like, if you're feeling like really needy, like I want them, ask it a lot. Because sometimes when you're feeling needy, there might be something required. But when they're little infants, ask it every hour. When they're toddlers, ask it every couple hours. Maybe not when they're at daycare or something. But asking, is there anything required? Do my children require anything of me right now? This is not to get an idea of what's required. It's just to get an idea if there is anything required. So something that's required is to respond to something appropriately, to do what's required. Like if they fall down, you're required to pick them up when they're little. If they're failing in school, you are required to maybe step in and help them with some things, talk to their teachers, help them with homework. There's things that's required as a parent that if you have clarity about what it actually is, you can do it with such a greater ease and more competence. Often what parents start out with from the day the kids are born is that they're required all of the frickin' time. That the kids require you 100% of the time, all the time, no matter what, never ending requirement,
Mhm.
which will be great for a baby and it will make the baby more needy. And every time they cry, mom will be there. I'm not saying don't answer their cries. I'm saying no, it's required when they cry. And then as they become teenagers, you're going to be what's required all the time, and you'll be the most annoying mom that they've ever been around. They'll do everything they can to lie to you, to get away from you, to shut your door, to be in, and they'll roll their eyes and they'll say mean things that'll break your heart. So all of you have had your heart broken by your teenagers and your adults, your adult children, who destroy and create all of that.
Yeah.
Tons of godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, because they don't require you anymore.
Yes.
So everywhere you're unwilling to perceive, know, be, and receive the gift when they don't require you,
Wow.
you know, let that one just go a little more. Yeah, all of that. Could we destroy and create all of that?
Wow.
It's a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, cool, vibes, boys and beyonds. That's getting some yawns out there.
Yeah.
They too are totally independent, infinite, well, independent. Everyone's a little different than that. They are also infinite beings with their own reality that will not require you forever. That can be with or without you. You don't want to be with someone, you want to be around them and be there when it's required and be amazing when it's not. Is this making sense?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I just keep getting that I need to go keep on creating my life.
Always, even if they require something of you. You creating your life is paramount. What would it
Yeah.
take to have a life for me? What would it take to create my life, my living, and my reality greater than I could ever imagine? That can include children. It can include partners. It can include lots of things. It's not about isolating yourself and being, you know, I don't want to have anything to do with you. It's like creating a life for you that's greater than you can imagine.
Yeah.
And what would that look like? If you are like, they don't need me anymore and I need them to need me, I need them to need me, I need them to need me. It could be some song, I think. I want you to want me.
I need you to need me.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be a song you want to listen to like 1,000 times.
Okay.
I
Thank
don't
you.
remember who that was. Didn't I see you? I'm gonna have to listen to it myself after this call.
Thank you.
Yeah. So create your life that works for you. Well, I'm gonna give you a little tidbit. There's 3 things, and I think for the 2 calls already we've had, there's 3 things that Gary Douglas shared with me about being a great parent. A good parent is someone who gets their children alive to 18. That's a good parent. If they're 18 and they're alive, and I did it. I did it in November 2021. My daughter turned 18, my youngest, and I am now a good parent officially. All 3 of them made it to 18 alive. Woo! A great parent is someone who never gives their life up for their children, who is willing to be a bad mom or dad, a bad parent, willing to be a bad parent, meaning seen as a bad parent if that creates the life and living in reality and future that works for you. You don't have to be a bad parent, but willing to receive the judgments from other people that you're not doing it right, which we've all received. I mean, we just heard the story from about how the judge had a seriously not fun point of view about her. What would it take for her to receive that with total ease? Like, he's interesting point of view. The judge had that point of view. So willing to be, not give out your life up for your children, be a bad parent, and empower your children to know that they know. Empower your children to know that they know. If you're a parent that is doing, because you think it's required of you to be on all the time as a mother, how much will they become aware of what they know if you're always, if your point of view is that they require you all the time? And there's so many ways we like When a child has a point of view, he's like, oh, you can't know that yet. You don't know that. Instead of saying, wow, oh yeah, what do you know? What do you know? So empowering your children to know that they know, empowering them to create the future that they're choosing to create, not the one you want them to. Willing to be a bad parent. Sorry. And not giving your life up for your children. Okay, did I just dump like, whoo, total space or total silence? Like,
Well, total confusion.
total confusion. Okay, what's your confusion?
The piece where, because Gary Douglas isn't, who
Okay.
doesn't, who is not
Okay, here's your question.
responsible for raising the kids, the mother is.
Okay, so
So I'm
Adama
wondering-
has a point of view that's
Yes.
a little incorrect, but here's her question. She said, well, Gary Douglas is a father who didn't raise his children. He actually did.
Okay,
He had 2 wives. His first son was with the first wife, and then remarried a woman who had 2 children, and then they had a child together. So he had 4 children,
okay,
and he raised his son after the divorce on his own.
okay.
He's spoken about this. And then he had his oldest daughter on his own for quite a few years after the divorce. And so
He's been a single dad.
he's changed diapers and made breakfast and taken to school and
Okay,
all sorts of things. Cleaned up the kitchen after them. A lot of my stories are great stories from him being what we would call stuff mom does.
Mhm.
So your question about
it is how does one be? How does that work?
how does
that
one
look like?
be?
Not giving up your life to
Okay.
raise your children.
How does it look? What does it look like to not give up your life for raising your children? It's a great question. I'm not going to be able to give you an answer on that. That's something you're going to have to be able to become aware of on your own. I can tell you what it looked like for me.
Okay.
So I am three young kids, starting my own practice. Access is coming to my life. I'm starting to facilitate a lot. Money's starting to come in. I'm not panic stricken when he cuts off child support. And I'm doing everything for my kids. I'm doing stuff that I don't need to be doing. I've got them in every sports activity you could possibly imagine because I'm being a really good suburban mom. I'm doing things that the kids don't want to do because I think it's required. And I also, my point of view is you're supposed to be a good mother in this reality. I'm supposed to give my life up for my children. Just to work my fingers to the bone. I mean, a really good mom gives up her life for her children. We are having like the whole thing that's going on with the Supreme Court in the US right now is they're trying to make a law that says you should give up your life, literally, for your children. Their life is way more important than yours. And my question when I heard this the first time was like, what child would ever want a mother to do that? If we give up our lives for our children, we have disempowered them. We have disempowered them so they can never choose to have their life. Because they have to have a future where they give their life up for their children. And so on and so on. Okay? So everywhere you've decided that to be a good parent in this reality, you have to give your life up for your children, could we destroy and uncreate all of that?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and mountains. I literally do not want my mom, don't not want my mother to die for me.
Oh yeah, no.
I want my mother to have an or my father who's now passed away, but it never occurred to me that they should die for me. They should give their life up for me. I wanted to do everything I wanted to do, but I certainly didn't want them to give up their life. Do your children want that from you? Say it louder, Jeremiah.
No.
No. You can straight up ask them, do you want me to give my life up for you? It's a horrifying thought. That could give them nightmares. But that is this reality's point of view about what makes you a good parent.
Or good mother.
Or a good mother.
Lover. Partner.
So everywhere you have bought that and sold that.
There's a song. I'll catch a grenade for you.
I'll catch a grenade. There's some song, I'll catch a grenade for you. So everywhere you bought and sold in this lifetime or any lifetime, that a good parent or a good mother gives up her life for her children, could we destroy and uncreate all of that? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all nine shorts, boys and one. So I pulled Beds and Beyond. So I had that point of view. I had that point of view that was what made me a good parent, and I was doing it. I cried at night. I yelled at my kids all the time, like, oh, I just have to work for you all the time. I never have a second for myself. You're always leaving a mess around the house. I have to drive you to school every day. Wah, wah, wah. I had to prove all the time I was giving my life up for them. It wasn't, but a good parent should. So I was trying to create that reality, even though there was a better reality. So what did I do? I did this crazy thing. I asked a question a lot. What would it take to never give my life up for my children? And everything that didn't allow that, I pod popped. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod pock, online shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds. It's a question. You guys write it down. Put it in your phone's notes. Put it somewhere. What would it take to never give my life up for my children? And that's it. And then things started to look different. The things that bugged me, I realized didn't actually bug me. It's kind of like, what would it take for my life to be greater than I could imagine? And I started creating and generating more money. My kids could go and do things on their own. I didn't worry about them. I knew they were okay. I knew they were safe. I knew they were doing their thing. I could have an awareness of what was going on in their reality to see if anything was required of me. And you ladies, and I think most everyone on here is ladies right now, and gentlemen in the future, but live, I think we got all ladies. You know when something's going on with your kids, you know when it's required. It gets a little silent. You know, you're in the kitchen or something, and you're on your computer doing your work or something, and there's just the sound.
Energy.
Yeah, the sounds go away, or something. You just like your head goes up, like, I need to check on the kids, and you run into their rooms. You go, everything okay? Yeah, and sometimes there's a moment you need to be in there for because they're like painting the floor with, they're drawing on the walls with Crayola, whatever it is, or they're talking on the phone and you needed to hear that conversation. Don't tell them you heard it. They don't know. Just a little other advice for moms. Okay, so does that help? That was Adama. That was your question. Does that help?
Yes.
You asked that question. I don't know what it's going to look like for you with not giving your life up, but it will start to change. You'll start to see where you are. And that's often where you're doing things that just aren't required, that your kids could care less that you help them with or around. Kids actually would like us to go away and leave them alone a lot more than we know. I had a newborn baby as a client, right? The mother was my client or whatever. And she was like, the baby was crying all the time, as they can, colicky, that kind of thing. And I just said, start asking, is there anything required of me? And she got a lot of no's. And then I gave her another question, which was, well, I mean, it was surprising how rare the infant even needed or required something from her. And then I gave her the question, what contribution can you be and receive from your children that you've never imagined? Now, I gave this about ex-husbands earlier, but do it with your kids too. What contribution can you be and receive from your baby? And she was like, wow, I could ask that of a baby? A contribution from a baby? And I was like, yeah, what contribution can you be and receive from your baby? The baby fell asleep for like 6 hours. And the mom, it was new. I think it was with 10, 15 days old. It was a brand new baby. The mother got to sleep, got a whole good chunk of sleep and got some stuff done and nurtured her body. And the baby was like, oh, you asked me? Oh, I can contribute. I'm going to go to sleep. Who gets that question as a new mother? Anyone you guys get a question like that ever? What contribution can your baby be for you? What contribution can you be and receive? Like you could receive from your children? So everywhere you've decided, because you have to give your life up for them, you could never receive anything from your children, except on Mother's Day. You still might have to make breakfast that day. Can we destroy and create it all? Times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all in shorts, boys and beyonds. Woo! Hey Jeremiah, what's required? Do you have a question? It's conscious parents, conscious kids, so kids can ask questions too. You can think about it. And questions online. Anyone else have their hand up? Was there a question written in the chat? I haven't been checking at the chat. One, I have two. Oh, there is one from Seema. And if you do have a question, sorry, just you can raise your hand. There's a little hand thing somewhere down there, and I will hopefully see it. So one question from, is that the only one from Seema? Yeah. So Seema, I have two kids, daughter, son. One is in Canada and one is in Melbourne. They are not talking, usually not to wish on. Okay, so you're having a thing with your kids. Okay, maybe this is the Mother Day call. Like nothing's working out with my kids. They're not talking to me. So it seems like what you're saying is you have two kids and they don't talk to you, or
Can
they're.
I speak, please?
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. I have two kids, one son, one daughter. My daughter is in Canada. My son is Melbourne.
Mhm.
Me and my husband, we are living with our son. So usually they are not talking. Both of them are not talking. I'm not said she's right or she's right. But on their birthdays and anniversary, they are not wishing. Today, my daughter is crying badly because she hurts. My brother is not call me on birthdays, not talking with my kids. So I really request my brother, if you have this relationship with me, please stop this fake relationship.
Okay, so
So,
I'm just a little curious about. So there's your brother or your son
no, my brother, no, my son,
is not
my
talking.
daughter. Yeah, my son is not talking to my daughter, not talking with their kids. She had two
Okay.
kids, 12 years old and 8 years old, not to wish them, not do any video call or anything. No,
Okay.
don't. Yeah. So she hurts from, I think from more than 2 or 3 months, she's crying. And she said, Mom, I want to stop this relationship. So that
Okay,
hurts
that's
me.
fine. Let her stop the
Hmm?
relationship. Bye-bye. Bye-bye,
Yeah,
brother.
yeah. I told her because I did access consciousness. Sonal, if you are not easy with this, you tell your brother, don't hurt, don't cry, stop this relationship.
She doesn't have to say anything to her brother, so let's do that for everyone right now. And you can do this with your daughter if she's interested. Obviously, if she's not interested, it's not going to work. She has to choose it. We cannot force our kids to be anything they are not, no matter
Yes.
how much you pretend you can force your children.
Yes.
You can never force your children to anything they don't want to do. Did you ever,
Yes.
I mean, could you ever get them to go to a nap forcefully when they didn't want to sleep? You've
Yeah.
known this from day one. So you can't force your kids to do anything they don't want to. You can make it look like it, but they will do it behind your back.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
you forced your daughter to change this, but let's all do this with all of our kids in our relationships. So I want you to uncreate and destroy all of your relationships with your children in any lifetime, and with your parents, and with your spouses, and the baby daddies, and the baby mamas,
Yes.
and everything doesn't allow you to destroy and uncreate everything that is, because we just need destroy and uncreate it all.
yes.
Yeah, times a godzillion. Thank you. Thank you. Right,
Thank
wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, online shorts, boys, brothers, and beyonds. Now, siblings. So this is a kind of a sibling conversation, and these come up in
Yes.
classes often because we want our kids to get along. That's what's expected, right? You're expected to be a good mom, give your life up for your children, and then you're expected to have kids that get along with each other. Especially nowadays, kids shouldn't be fighting with their brothers and sisters. So
Thank you.
what if we didn't expect our children to even like each other? What if you had no expectations? Expectations are really tough. Anything you project on a child or expect from a child is going to create judgment, separation, and rejection of you from them and them from you. So everything that was expected by your parents for you and everything was projected on you, like that's the good kid, that's the daughter, that's the good baseball player, that's the ugly one, that's the pretty one. All those projections and all the expectations, like that's the one that's going to be a supermodel, that's the one that's going to not finish college, whatever they are. We've had a million of them in all sorts of ways. All of your projections and expectations of your children, creating the judgment, rejection, and separation of you from them and them from you, we destroy and uncreate it all.
Yes, please.
And there's a sibling order thing here, like the oldest and the youngest, and the middle child. Those two times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys, covids, and beyonds. Okay, so kids don't need to like each other. Our kids do not need to like each other. Don't expect them to like each other. Some of them may be the bestest friend you've ever seen, and you're going to be like, they never include me. They're just inseparable. And some may be like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to look at you today. And sometimes kids just show up, and there are kids, and at 18, they take off and do their thing, and you might not hear from them. Yeah, it would be a bummer. And what would it take to change it? And what's required? Is there anything required of you? So, and I'm kind of going all over this place because there's a lot about this with siblings. But I did ask, I would ask the class that I've asked, did you and your brothers and sisters get along? Did you?
Sisters are fine. Yeah, sisters, we love each other. 4 of them. Brother, we don't have any relationship with them.
When you were little, did you guys fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I rolled on the floor and my brother pulled my hair and whatever. We were like the same size, he was 2 years younger. I mean, we had crazy fights. I used to pick him up and bring him to my parents and go, you deal with him. And you're laughing.
Yes.
You're laughing.
When the
How-
college start, I'm crying and crying. Thank you so much to
But
change
how-
my energy. Now I'm laughing.
And how much fun did you have fighting with your brothers and sisters when you were little? You're like, puppy. Have you ever seen puppies fight?
Yes.
I mean, or kittens?
They fight and
Yes.
They're fighting and they
Yeah.
kiss each other. Like it's part of something, you know, like not hurting each other is a really good thing to make a demand in your family that no one injures anyone on purpose. But fighting is something that's going to show up. And I don't know if you can change the expectations of your daughter. I get there's something about your son. It's not so much he's ignoring his sister. He just doesn't get it. It's not part of his
Yes.
reality.
Yes.
He's
You're
not-
right.
I mean,
Very
my,
right.
my son, I don't hear from at all either. He's 27. He's started grad school. He, you know, went off to college, met a lady. They live together, and I hear from her.
Yeah.
If I need to text my son now and get any information, I text his girlfriend or fiance. I think they're officially engaged, which I'm supposed to be really impressed with because that's, you know, good job, mom. But I'm like, that's weird. They're gonna make this like more legit.
Oh,
I'm just funny. The significance of solidifying a relationship into this reality is meaningless to me.
oh,
So I try to pretend it's like, oh, that's so cool if you got her a ring. And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm a weird mom. I can kind of fake that kind of gooey stuff a little bit. So Seema, thank you for your
so much.
question. I hope that
Thank you.
helped. Yeah. And
Yes.
if you have more,
Helped a lot. Help a lot.
totally,
Thank you so much.
you can message me.
Swing
Love it.
has a question.
Thank you.
Jocelyn, you have a question. Yes. I see your
Yes,
hand.
hi. I just sometimes with my daughters, I just explode like I don't know. It's some weird because when I'm calm down, I just thinking why do that? Why did that? And you know, it's like
Oh, when
it wasn't me.
you're
but-
losing your temper.
Yes, yes, too much. And right now I'm pregnant from my third child. I never expected have it 3, but
How does it get any better
Okay.
than that?
yes,
I never expected to have any.
oh.
yes. But right now I'm very worried about it because it's sometimes that I just explode, and you know, it's something that I cannot control or
Okay, so everywhere you've decided you are out of control and out of instead of being uncontrolled. We're just trying to create that.
yes, thank you.
There's only one person that can actually change anything with you, and that's you. So right now so saying I can't control it is somewhere you're pretending that it's happening to you, and nothing happens to you. Okay. So let's look at this from a different point of view. So first, like everywhere you are being uncontrolled and you are the victim of your temper, could we destroy and create all of that?
Yes,
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, online, shorts, plays, public, and beyond. So who are you being when you lose your temper for kids? It's
My
a-
mom.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
me too.
your mom. Your mom. I was maybe more my dad, but also you got to get that losing your temper with your children was the way to parent for most of the history of, at least the European continent people we are. There's some, you hear some stuff about some indigenous and some where they don't lose their temper with their kids, but it's a pretty, let's say 6,000, 10,000, 20,000, 10,000 years, 6,000 from ancient Egypt, spread out around the world. Losing your temper with your children was an appropriate way to behave with them. That's how you'd controlled them. Didn't work very well. Not every parent chose it. So all of those lifetimes
Ay, mi amor.
where losing your temper was the appropriate, correct way to be a good parent.
All over.
And now it's losing your temper is the way to be a bad parent. This is where you got to be willing to parent the way it works for you. Who would destroy and uncreate all of that?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, online, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Now you want to ask other questions about it. So you're being your mother, so let's uncreate and destroy everywhere you are mimicking your mother's and your parents' points of views about parenting. Where you're being your parents, like, oh my God, I sound like my mother. Everything you hated and disliked about your parents' way of parenting, and if you ever said, I'm not going to be that, you get it. And then it will come out of your mouth and you're like, oh my God, I sound like just my mom, just like my mom. Which is awful. I still do it. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, my mom said that. My mom
Yes.
says stuff like that. My mom points her fingers when you're in trouble, she points her fingers, and I hate it. And I catch myself pointing my fingers. I'm like, oh, I'm being my mom. So everywhere you have biomimetically mimicked your parents' pains, pathways, and realities with parenting, that we destroy and uncreate all of that.
Yes, please.
Godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, online, shorts, boys, and beyonds.
So what was that question you asked? Left me alone.
Is anything required of you? I think she heard her son Adama here in the room. She just said, "What did you just ask?" Because he was sitting here just all over me because he was, and then he left the room. But I can't exactly remember what information of what I was saying. He's just off doing his own thing in the house. He probably found playing a video game or something. It was probably, is there anything required of you? That's usually what happens.
Mm.
You think something is required, they get needy to try to help you out and give you something to do. And then when you let that point of view, they go be themselves.
Uh-oh, here it comes.
Okay, so losing your temper. So now the next one I want to uncreate. Are you willing to uncreate and destroy everywhere you are beating yourself up and making yourself wrong because you've lost your temper and gotten really crazy angry with your kids,
Excuse me.
Yes.
where you make yourself wrong?
Yes.
You too, Adama. You too, all moms and dads on here. I've done it. Destroy and uncreate everywhere you made yourself wrong and feel guilty, which is a distractor implant. It never
Yes.
let you be aware of what you were creating, what it was creating for your future. And what they were creating by getting mom so angry as he pops into I just heard him or her. I heard your child. So everything that is times of God's name. Create it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, POD, short spoils and beyonds. It creates something different. Being upset. Oh, I know what we want to create. So all of your emotional POVADs. POVADs, I've been saying, it's your points of views that you're avoiding and defending. So all of your emotional POVADs about being a child or being a parent. Could we destroy and uncreate everything that is? Comes to Godzilla. Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, online, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Okay, and ask some questions. You get angry, or you just ask energetically. Don't ask them. Just, are they okay? Because sometimes mom loses her, goes batshit crazy and yells, and the kids are like, "Yeah, that's mom." And other times it's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm terrible and wrong. I made mom so mad." It's going to be different each time. Check in. I remember at one point I had gotten really mad at my son when he was like 5. I had just had my second child, and I was taking him to first grade. And on the drive there in that morning, I became aware of, I have to do this I've got to get this kid to school every fucking day, 5 days a week for the next 12 years. And I was really upset when I just got, I got her off and then he's in the car and I turned around. I just kind of had this awareness that morning and I was kind of ready to cry about the next 12 years of my life with school. And I turned around and his seatbelt wasn't on. Big deal, right? Seatbelt. He hadn't buckled a seatbelt on the way to drive to school. And I turned around and I was like, Aiden, put your seatbelt on. Blah, 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 blah. And I just yelled at him, like total overreacted. Totally overreacted. Like, I could get arrested. You have to have, like, be an accident. You can go through the window. I mean, I don't have that point of view anymore. I probably would be fine without the seatbelt on. I just check in and say, are they going to be safe? Is a cop going to see me? I dropped him off at preschool, mom's, and he was first grade. It wasn't preschool, it was first grade. I dropped him off. He walked in the room and he was just a couple minutes, like the bell was just ringing as he got there, taking his coat off. And I walked him up and I looked in the window and he was starting to tear up. And I was like, I was the worst mother that had ever walked on the planet. I made my son cry. He's in, the teacher asked him if it was okay. I'm standing outside the door looking through. So tortured me that moment, my entire life with him. Well, whatever, like for years, I lost my temper with him over a seatbelt. And I knew what I was thinking at the time. I was a raw on the edge that morning. I asked him when he was like 16 or something, hey, Aiden, when I said that, did you remember? And I told him the story I just told you guys. I'm like, and I feel so bad. I still feel so bad. And he looked at me and goes, what are you talking about? I don't even remember that. Right. And then a year later, I brought it up again because I still hadn't got rid of it. He goes, Mom, you asked me this last year. It didn't do anything to me. I am fine. I don't remember it. You yelled at us all the time about seatbelts. So check in if it's actually damaged your children. Sometimes what we say can actually be something that requires some podpocking, and sometimes it's not relevant to them. They knew who they were picking when they picked us as parents. They know we're crazy. We knew our parents were crazy at times. Like, kids can fight, if there's not abuse and physical violence and horrible, horrible things being said, have some ease with yourself. What if nothing you've ever done as a parent has been wrong? And what if our children are more aware of who we be than we can imagine? They chose you. They kind of knew what was showing up. Okay. And if getting mad at your kids doesn't work for you, what would it take for it to change? Anger, rage, fear, and hate is a distractor implant. The story I just told you, I was being a distractor implant. I was not asking a question. I didn't have them then. Am I going to spend the rest of my life driving to school? What would it take for it to be easy? I didn't ask a single question. I was distracted from every possibility about creating my life that worked for me in that moment by anger, rage, fury, and hate. And I had a beautiful, fabulous son who I still have, who received mom's insanity with total ease and never had a point of view.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Change it for you, not because you feel guilty. Guilt is also going to distract you from what you know. What would it take for me not to be angry anymore?
Yes, actually, that's what I want, because I don't want it to be angry, the part of my life. I don't want it.
Okay, and this could be a lot more of a conversation because there's a lot of things around anger. But if you start asking this one question, as much as you can, what would it take for me to not be so angry? What would it take for this to change for me? What would it take for me? What would it take for me to have some joy and fun in my life? What would it take for not be this angry? And things are going to start changing. You're going to get awareness and information, and you'll realize you've done things that used to make you angry and you're not angry anymore. And who does it belong to? I haven't brought that up. I know I'm giving you so much stuff in this Zoom, but who does it belong to? Because 98% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, which include anger, rage, fear, and hate, are not yours and do not belong to you. You might be yelling because your kids are mad because something happened at school, or your spouse is mad, or the neighbor is mad, or every single person on the planet is mad because there was COVID or there's a war going on. Who does it belong to? First question. What would it take to not be so angry anymore? And ask for, just make a demand in your life to not have that for you. Because it's not a fun energy to have. And
Thank
that being said, really quickly, sometimes it may be required to look like a crazy mom to change something in your kid's world. Don't let it affect you. You can say, no matter, kids, you need to get in your room and clean it up now, or I'm going to blah, take your life away from you. Take all of your computers. I'll never speak to you. I don't know, whatever it is that works for them. And you may need to seem so intense that they're like, oh God, mom's mad. And they go run and do it. Sometimes it's required. But don't be angry when you do it. Look angry, but don't be angry. I don't want you to cut off that possibility. Especially with 3 kids, there may be times that mom needs to get really intense at moments to have her family work for her.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, Marcy, you had a question.
Yes. So my question is, like, having 3, I have 3 too, like 8, 6, and 5 years old. And sometimes it feels like, why I even have kids? And you feel so guilty to feel that, because it's like, for real, you feel like the world is just ending and you need to explode and just being like, my question is like, how you can make not that correctly, but be okay with sometimes feeling like you probably didn't do the right choice or choose the right thing to having the kids, because I hear that a lot from another moms, and I hear from me too that it's not that we don't love our kids, but it is the energy of like, oh my God, what I did, and I already have them, and you're telling me that I can choose different, but how am I gonna choose different if I already have them in here?
I'm not asking you to not choose to be
Oh, no. I mean, in class, in general, like in general access that says like, okay, you can choose different or change the, every 10 seconds you're changing the energy or things like that.
There's a lot in your question. Let me see how much I can address. So yes, if you're a mother and have not had that point of view at some point from this moment you first peed on a stick and it was positive, that I can't do this, I don't want to have kids, I don't want to be a mom, oh my God, I'm going to be a mom, how exciting could it be? Like, we have all of those thoughts, every one of those points of views is so okay. You are not wrong because you think for a second, I don't want to be a mom anymore. It's not a wrongness, it's just a thought. It's probably not yours. Or maybe it's yours from other lifetimes, or maybe it truly is yours. Like, I don't want to do this. I used to fire myself and eat some evenings. I'd be with the kids. I'd like, look, I'm not mom right now. I'm fired. I quit. I'm not mom. Do not talk to me. Don't get around me. Don't even look at me. And then like 2 hours later, I'd go, okay, I'm mom again. Whew. Like, it's okay to have that. But I did have, the resentment of my kids came up really strong a few times in my life, just resenting that I couldn't, the career I may have thought I could see people that didn't have kids were having I was like, wait, hold on. Okay. I could walk away. Like, this is where 10 seconds of choice, choice actually is real. I could walk away and move to Hawaii tomorrow. I could have done it any single day. Once they were out of my body, I could, like many fathers do it all the time. They just disappear. I could have done that. That is a choice that was always available. I never thought about it. I never chose it. My kids would have found wolves to raise them. They would have been fine. There would have been no problem with my children not having me making them dinner and driving them to school and nursing them. They would have been fine. They're amazing beings. I had to have this awareness that, so ladies, all of you guys, I'm choosing this too. This was not forced on me. I am not a victim of having these children, of getting pregnant, even though one was a complete surprise. And I've had surprises that never got bodies, and I've had surprises that have bodies. I mean, I know what choice is. I chose these children, and I chose every 10 seconds to continue to be their mother, whatever that looked like. And when that bing, 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 when I got that, it's like I could leave. I could just go get a ticket, walk out the door, and my mom would be here, their dad would show up, they'd be fine. That was not the choice I wanted to make. Some mothers have made it. You could make that. You're choosing not to make that choice. The resentment went away. I was like, oh God, I'm choosing this. How is this going to work for me greater than I can imagine? Okay, I'm choosing it. I am not a victim of these kids. I'm not a victim of motherhood. I'm not working my fingers to the bones. I'm not giving my life up for these kids. I'm choosing it. Now, no matter what it fucking takes, it's gonna work for me. Those were my questions. And sometimes they were way more intense than that. And I had tears rolling down my face. And then it did, guys. It did. Money showed up in weird places. I started making more money. The kids went on trips with me. I'd say, okay, to my youngest, like, I'm going to go for a week to Italy to take classes and teach them. Are you okay? And she's like, Mom, this is where you make all the money. Go. Just take me next time. Make enough money so I get to go. And then she got to come. And then she had friends of hers that said, how do you do it? Your mom works a lot. She works and she's gone. Is that? And she goes, I have been, this is my daughter, who's 18 now. She would tell her friends, I have been to every continent except Antarctica because of what my mom does for work. I never miss her when she's gone. I can talk to her anytime I want. And I've got to travel the planet. And she makes all this money and I get to live where I get to live. And I have this amazing house because of what my mom, and she never had a moment where she resented how much I was doing to create a life that worked for me. And this empowered her. This is where you're empowering your kids by not giving up your life and not giving up being a mother. You are multitaskers, ladies, of magnitude. You can do 10,000 things at the same time. You can be running corporations and still being a mother full time and be have at ease with it. You guys are potent beings that can do, if you're not doing 10 things at once, which may be why we're having 3 kids, because we were, 2 wasn't enough with our jobs.
I'm bored.
You can, yeah, I'm bored. What else can I do? Okay, well, I could do another baby. It's still happening. All the organs are working. So what if being you is being the multitasker that can create all of this with ease? So my daughter, I see her now, she's not going to ever give her life up for anyone. And she will have many, many people in her life with ease. She's got a beautiful boyfriend. And she will or will not choose children, and she won't give her life up. She'll probably have moments. But I see it now. And I have to say that me choosing these tools when she was 2 contributed to the life that she's created now. And my other children have that same points of views. Does that help? So one of the things you do if you feel overwhelmed as a mom or a parent is ask this weird question: what else can I add to my life? And I asked it a lot when I was, resentful, too much to do. I'm not going to get this all done. I'm not, whatever. I'd say, okay, I just stop myself and go, okay, what else can I add to my life? Because those crazy thoughts that were making me sad, they were creating sadness, or they brought up that couldn't exist with the question at the same time as what else can I add to my life? And you'll see it. And then, and when you notice things are different, when you notice you're not angry anymore, you haven't yelled at your kids all day. Like a whole day went by and I didn't yell at my kids once. Go, oh my God, how does it get any better than this? What else can I create? If you have a whole day where you don't aren't frustrated with having to choose kids and you've never felt for a minute, oh, I wish I didn't have kids. And you go, oh my God, I just had this whole amazing day. And I never once thought I didn't want my kids around. And then you go, and they were barely around because I now know when it's required for me to be with them and not, because I've been asking this question. And then say, how does it get any better than this? What else can I create? And I'm going to give you well, I could take another question. Annika, you have a question.
Hi, yes, I put it in the chat already.
Okay, let me peek at
I
it.
wanted to be sure that you saw it. And it's about my daughter, 24 years old, not working, not studying, living with other people for the last years because she has no money. She's not interested in access consciousness. What can I do? I feel very guilty because she's not happy. And I don't see her looking for a goal in life. And
Yeah. So
I,
that's a lot how this reality is just demands that you be with a kid that's not choosing the way you think they should, or this reality thinks they should. So she's 24.
yes.
Not a lot that she has to ever listen to you again or anything. Like, there's like, I mean, after the age of 9, 10, or 11, we are not that relevant to our children anyway. By 24, they start to dislike us less.
Mhm.
Girls may take a few more years than boys. Boys usually
Yes.
around 20, and girls 23, 24, 25 start to think, oh, mom's not so bad. So
Mhm.
she could start listening to you again. So all we can do is change you, mom, at this point. There's nothing, you can't change your kids anyway, but at 24. So all of your points of views and all the points of views you've bought from this reality about what she should be doing to be successful, to make you a successful parent. Like she should have this job or that job or be in college or making this much money or whatever those stories are that she's not creating right now, that you've bought into or been implanted with, that are affecting you and making you perceive yourself as a bad parent. Can we destroy it and create that? I don't know if that quite made sense. Did it make sense? Okay. It was kind of long-winded. Times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. About the only, I mean, right.
But what I see is that she's so unhappy. That's
Yeah, you can't make your kids happy either.
I
I mean, things Gary Douglas has said is like, okay, how do you make them more unhappy? They want to be unhappy, make them unhappy. Like, I know it makes you laugh, right? Because it's so weird, but it's kind of funny. Like, oh my God, I don't even know how you do your life like that. If I was in your situation, I don't know what I would do. I don't know if I could even stay on the planet.
Mm.
That may be severe. You'll know some kids will laugh when mom says that. Some kids could never receive that. Say what they can hear. And what can she hear? What can she actually hear from you that would contribute to her choosing something greater? She has to choose it. And if you ask that question, so what could you say that she could hear that can contribute to her choosing something greater? And it may be that mom never says anything. Like she couldn't hear anything. Can she hear anything from me right now? And what if that's okay? So flow her energy when it's required, pull energy through her if it's required. Have you done the foundation class?
I've been a few
Ask
years.
if, yeah, the energy flows, ask if any of them are required. What if there is nothing wrong with your daughter choosing this? What if it's not a wrongness?
But she herself finds it a wrongness as well. So
Yes. So this is where if you change you and your points of views, their points of views could change
maybe.
because you're not playing catch anymore with it. Like you drop the ball and there's no one to play with. So if you have no expectations, like all of your projections and expectations from the day she was born of who she should have been and what she should do and who she should be, it had nothing to do with her or you. Could we destroy and create all of that? Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, COVIDs and beyonds. So if you don't have any expectations or points of views about what she should be choosing, then it can be easier for her to choose.
Okay.
She doesn't have to bounce around yours and try to resist them or make them work for you. She can choose for her. And ask that question I gave earlier, is there anything required of me? You can ask it right now with your daughter who's 24. Is there anything she requires of me right now? Yes or no? What's lighter?
Yeah.
What do you get right now? Is there anything required right now?
Well, she's very far away, so
No, it doesn't matter. That
Doesn't matter, no.
energetically, it doesn't matter if they're miles away or in your, bedroom asking you to wake
Yeah.
up. Is there anything required does she require anything from you right now? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay. And ask it in the morning or ask it in a couple hours. Keep
Mhm.
asking it. And when it is a yes, you'll get it. And then you'll either go call her or she might call you and just say, hey, what's up? Anything you require from mom? How can I help you? Can I contribute anything to you, babe?
Mhm.
Or whatever, however you say. Is there anything I can contribute? I know it's tough. I know it's tough for you right now. I'm here.
Yeah, I told her that if she needs me, she has to contact me, because if I contact her, it's always that I shouldn't have. So
Yeah.
now
Well,
it's the other way around, that she has to.
right. So so the required thing will help you a lot with it for you. Because this class is for parents.
Yeah, okay.
Have conscious kids, and the less if mom's happy, everyone's happy. But the only way mom is happy if we choose it. No one makes us happy, and we can't make our kids happy. How easy our lives would be if we could make our kids happy. I mean, I wish. Stop being angry. Just be happy right now.
Yeah.
I had this one. I'd heard some parent where they would put their kids if they were fighting, they'd put the kids and shut the door and say, "You can come out when you're happy."
Okay.
And there was one point I laid them down on the floor and I had them look because I was like, you guys look at each other and when you're finally happy, you can get up. And they started laughing immediately. They were like 5 and 8 or something like that. But I didn't really make them happy. I made it so ridiculous that they had to laugh.
Make a joke of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they still had to choose it. It could have went totally the other way. So you can't make her happy. She has to choose it. But what contribution
Yeah.
can she be and receive from you?
I was so much hoping that access consciousness would work for her too, but she's like, no, that's not for me. That's not.
And that can change.
I know.
And the more you use the tools and change you, it will affect them because the things that you change that you created with her, she can't hold on to as much. So that even though they resist, and she's 24, she's still resisting you, mom.
Mhm.
Their lives make it different. My kids resisted me. I thought they hated access. And then, my son's girlfriend shows up and I'm talking about the bars and she goes, "Oh, Aiden, is that what you've been running on my head at night?" Because she'd had some headaches or something. And I was like, you little sneak.
Mm.
For years he told me how he didn't want anything to do with access stuff and I don't believe in that, it's weird and da, 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 da. And here he's using it behind my back.
Yeah, you're back. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So what are you changing something in her future with what you're choosing? You can know that for you.
Yeah.
And you know what? Change it for you. She's 24 now.
Yes.
Change it for you. Your life work for you. Don't give your life up for your children, even if they're 54. And they will choose when they want to choose, and we can't make them choose. We can only, lead the horse to water, as they say in America, and you can't make them drink. And moms, here's a great question for if you're worried about your kids. If you're worried about your kids and their future, if you're starting to stress out, fear is a distractor implant from what you know. This will help you know what you know so you don't go into the worry. Because it always distracts us. The best protection from your children is awareness, not fear. Is to just ask, so truth. Is my daughter's going to be okay in the next 10 years or 20 years or 50 years? Is she going to be okay? Yes or no? This is for you to unstress your world. I've used it hundreds of times when they, preschool, bad friends, a first date, jobs, flying. My daughter flew off to Dublin for college on her own at 19. I was like, okay, is she going to be okay? And it was like, not just okay. It's going to change her world.
Mm. And from what she tells me, she's not okay. So she's thinking she has suicidal thoughts and she wants to have
that may be more of a conversation.
diagnosis. Sorry.
that may be more of a conversation because a lot of kids, a lot of 20-year-olds, teenagers, late teens, early 20s during COVID were very
Yes, we will.
suicidal was a comment, or very, very upset and depressed in ways that really bothered a lot of parents. So you're not the first parent that's asked me questions. That may be more of a private session conversation with you. There were hundreds and like more than millions of people that chose to die for 2 years. We all lived through this. It's changing now, but people are still like, how much were the kids picking that up? And their whole world and their future changed dramatically during those years. We're just coming onto the edge of it. Who knows if there won't be another something in, next month. And now we have a war where people
Yeah.
are choosing, like there's people dying all over the place there too. So they're aware of a future in a different way we are because they're younger and their future's, their future is going to go a lot longer on this planet in these bodies they have. And some of it's that, and unwinding it maybe more than I can do on this call. But if you can ask her, is that yours? Like, are you picking? I mean, is there any possibility that doesn't belong to you, honey?
Mhm.
Is there any way that could be someone else's point of view? And you can say, a lot of people died this year. Did you pick any of that up? You're really psychic. I know you're psychic. I lived with you for 20 years.
Mhm.
If you talk to her.
Okay.
And if you don't, check in. Is she going to be okay? Yes or no? If you get a no, say, okay, what's required? Is there anything required? So you can have ease, Mom. So you don't have to spend your life in the stress and the worry. Like, so you can have your life, create your life with ease, joy, and glory, and still be a fabulous mother when it's required. That works for you. So,
Okay.
guys, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thanks for your question.
Yes, thanks for the call. Yes, thank you.
Is that it? Are we good? Was there anyone I missed? It's funny how.
Oh, check the chat room.
Yeah, I'm checking my chats. I think
We don't have nobody in the chats, at least somebody write you directly, but it's no questions on the chat.
Yeah, no, awesome.
Hostess.
Well, that was not anything like I imagined it would be. Because it was going to be Mother's Day. I thought we'd have like hearts and like, some flowers. And these are intense calls. I really am grateful that you guys were willing to ask the questions you were asking. The questions were really questions to change your future, change your lives, to create a reality that's beyond this reality. So what reality is available that's beyond this reality for parenting that we can now actualize and begin to actualize? You guys are pioneers. These being in a question with parenting is something that's still new. And my target, I've been doing the conscious parenting classes for a long time. My target is, what would it take for any parent who desires these tools to have it available for them? So I thank you for all your questions because they were fabulous. Like, what you're asking for to change wasn't just like, oh, I wish my kids cleaned the room today, which I've had those calls over and over. Like, these questions are a little bit more greater, maybe I should say, like, to really change things. And you contributed to lots of people on the planet today with this call. And all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. Anyone that's gifting it to their mothers, happy Mother's Day. And I will just say that I'm going to do a little promo for me. There is a 2-day conscious parenting class. So you get 12, 2 6-hour that I'm going to be doing over 3 days. So 3 4-hour days online in July, 8th, 9th, 10th. I believe those are the dates. I'm terrible. I don't have my hosts on. So I totally encourage you guys, if you want to have more of this, the tools in that class are the years, the years that I went to Access classes and got questions from Gary, had him talking to other parents, my years of working with parents in the conscious parenting, and you can get them all now in 3 days instead of having to do 15 years like I did. So if you're willing to, if that would create more in your life, just kind of check it out. I will send the information out when I send out the recordings. Okay. Yay. Thank you. Mwah! I love this class.
Thank
This is
you.
such a gift always.
All right.
I'm so grateful for you guys for showing up and asking questions. I think I could do this all day. Well, every day, maybe not all day.
Yeah.
Adore you. Thank you, thank you, thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you for your time and thank you for this amazing gift. And this is going to stay always in our recordings and this amazing energy that you are giving us the opportunity to be more conscious parents. So our next generation, that is our kids, can be more conscious and help to make this a little bit more livable with more ease, joy, and glory.
Yeah. Conscious parenting for conscious kids to change the world. But we don't have to do it all at once. We can do baby steps. Have a great Mother's Day, and all the American moms out there. Enjoy yourself. What can you what can you do to amaze yourself on Mother's Day?
We Mexicans get to celebrate it twice if we live in United States.
Yes. How does it? I'll take the Mexican Day too. When's that? The 10th. I'll tell my kids.
On the 10th, yes.
Gracias, muchas gracias. Mwah. Adore you guys.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. God bless you.